Right, the video you may have been asking for. I have had more messages about this particular subject in the last couple of months than I think of anything else. However, I do get obviously asked a lot on my iron vlogs. Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Sally Jacks, TV mum, and it is a pleasure to have your company, and I hope you can stick around, and that will mean doing the obvious, please. I would love you to subscribe and put the thumbs up if you love this video, and leave any comments in the section below if you think they're going to be worthwhile for other people, or if you want to ask me any questions as well. And don't forget, in one of these corners as well, you can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter as well. So let's get down to it. I have lost just over 2.5 stone since January the 10th. I lost quite a lot of it quite quickly at the start of the year, and that was due to quite a lot of stresses that were going on in my life, and so I have to put some of it down to the fact that I was very, very stressed. But I keep getting asked, what have I done, what have I done, what have I done? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile a few videos as we go, but this is going to be in and out of in between America, because obviously I need to get my American vlogs out as well, and our time in California. If anybody follows me, they will know that I've just been to California. So what I'm going to do is today I'm going to give you my top 10 tips that I believe that everybody needs to think of when they're starting to lose weight. I think these are imperative. So if you are struggling with your food, you've got an eating disorder, or you've got a bad relationship with food, then this video is not going to be for you. So let's look at number one. Number one is about changing your mindset on how you think, and this leads into other things. So for me, even though I was very healthy, I was doing a lot of sugar, so my mindset had to change towards sugar. So I had to look at things a different way. So instead of looking at everything in my life of going out and eating and having a good time, I had to look at other things that I was going to get enjoyment with going forward, because that's also going to lead into number two. So your mindset has to be completely and utterly changed, and you'll understand this when you start losing weight and you start going down the right path. You'll totally get where I'm coming from. Number two is about a lifestyle change. So not just a mindset change, this is now a lifestyle change. So you've got to look that whatever you're about to do is not a diet. Now, gosh, how many times do you hear this? It is not a diet. So what you're about to start, what you're about to kickstart, has to be the change in your life. Because what happens is you go on a diet, you lose your weight, you come off the diet, you go back to what you were normally doing, and everything goes back to normal. So if you do not change your lifestyle and what you're doing, then you're not going to change the habits that need breaking. And that's why obviously we put on weight, because what we're doing is we're putting too much food in and we're not doing enough for our bodies. We're eating too much calorific foods and we're not exercising enough. So that's really, really, really important. In fact, there's going to be more than 10 on this one, because there's also going to be one on exercise, if I can remember when I get to the end. So that is number two. So your lifestyle has to change. Don't go on a diet. I'm not on a diet. I'm on a complete lifestyle change. Well, not a complete, I keep saying complete lifestyle change, but it's not, because I was very healthy before. I was eating very healthy stuff. I was probably eating too big of portions, but I was putting a lot of sugary snacks in there, which is the one that I needed to stop. But also I've changed other things, which I will come into. But remember, number two is a lifestyle change. Number three, so important. Now there's two ways that you can actually do this. Is getting rid of all the rubbish in your cupboards, going through your cupboards. And you'll actually be quite shocked when you do that, because when you go through your cupboards, you're going to see stuff that's out of date, some things that are probably from 2020 that you haven't thrown away. But also have a look at sugar content. There are some great places on YouTube where you can find out the different wording for sugar. There's 52 different ways of naming sugar. How shocking is that? So have a look at everything that's got O's on it, but there's other names out there. So it's not just bland, it's got sugar in it. They'll hide it in different areas. So have a look at all your food in your cupboards and what you think is healthy, what you think is not unhealthy. Now, you can either do two ways. You can either chuck it in the bin. If it's out of date, you're going to want to do that, or it's best before date. But if you wanted to have that last binge and get rid of it, I'm not telling you what to do. Obviously the first one is the better one, but if you want to do the second one and just eat it for that week and think I'm going to start the week after, then you could do that. But get rid of all the rubbish in your cupboards, and then that stops you from going and snacking on stuff that you shouldn't be having and adding stuff to the meals that you shouldn't be having. Number 4, exercise. Exercise is really important, and it's really important that we move. Okay, so I'm gonna be slightly contradictive on this one, but hear me out. Exercise is only around about 20% of losing weight, and most of the weight comes from your food and not eating as many calories, not eating as much sugar in your diet, and obviously your saturated fat. So it's really important that you move. However, I've got a bit of a different slant on this one. If you are, because obviously I don't know where you are on the weighing scales, but if you are quite a lot overweight, that I'm calling a couple of stone, because I'm looking at when I've lost all the weight that I want to, I'm probably going to have lost around about 3.5 stone. So I consider that as quite overweight. When I was 3.5 stone heavier, obviously, if you go into heavy, impactful exercise, that's a lot on the heart, that's a lot on the lungs, that's a lot on the body, and that's a lot on the joints. So I actually believe in my heart that to start off with, you need to do it with diet, with a little bit of exercise, and then when you've lost that weight, that's when you do it with diet and exercise. Now, I'm not saying don't do anything if you're overweight, but I do believe that you need to go into it slower and not as aggressively. So I was very much a gym goer when I was the correct size. So do I think that I can get my body back to that? No, I don't. I'm carrying 2.5 to 3.5 stone heavier. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get back to that. So what I did was I've lost the weight first, then I've gotten into exercise. But in the meantime, whilst losing that 2.5 stone, I've done gentle exercise. So I've gone on things like the Vibra Power that I've got from work. I've gone on the walking machine. I've done little tiny jogs and runs, swimming and things like that. Not overboard, but making sure that I'm still moving. Now for exercise, what it does is when you're exercising your body, it causes your body to have inflammation. If you have inflammation on your body, it can hold on to weight. So therefore it's not doing the job of losing weight, it's doing the job of trying to sort out the inflammation. So this is why there's a slightly different kick to me with how you exercise and how you work out and how you diet. So I do believe in doing them both, but I don't believe in doing the exercise heavy until most of the weight has been dropped, but you still need to exercise. Number 5. This is, for me, one of the big ones. Your water. Now, I didn't have to change this because I already drink a lot of water, and I've actually done a blog on this, or a vlog on YouTube for you to go and have a look at. I've got this big, huge device from Amazon. I'll leave you a link below for you to be able to get it. It is fabulous, and I fill it up every day with water, and it gives you time frames if we go around this side. So it'll tell you 7 a.m, 8 a.m, 11 a.m, 1 p.m, 3 p.m. The camera's switched the other way around because I'm filming in selfie mode, so that's why you can see it back to front. But it gives you, and I drink one of those every single day, and actually before my feet have actually left my bed, I will have drunk a litre of water before I've got up in the morning. It gives your whole outlook, it's so much better. It cleans out the system. Don't have it too cold, by the way. You've got to have it room temperature because your body doesn't like it too cold, and also it doesn't like it too hot. And if you want to put a splash of lemon juice in there, that's really good for detoxing the body as well. But it's whether you can stand taking that in huge amounts, because obviously I do a litre. So what does that do? So many points. But for me, it's made my hair better, my skin better, my outlook, I'm brighter. It makes you fuller because it holds on to your, it's on your tummy. And then I drink that throughout the day, because a lot of the time we go for food when we actually should be going for drink, and we should be going for waters. If you are somebody that likes their coffee and their tea, make sure it's only one a day. That's all it should be. Go and do your research on it. And really you should be having that before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because they are stimulants. You have it later on in the day and it could affect your sleeping pattern. So make sure you're doing copious amounts of water. If you're somebody that has cordial, you've got to get off it. You've got to get used to it, because it's either got a sugar in it or it's either got a sweetener in it, which is no good for you. You've got to come off that. And if you're on fizzy drinks, then I'm just going to slap your hand, because nobody should be doing those at all. That should be a treat. And I'm talking once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks. Fizzy drinks are a no-go, and they are not good for us. Got no nutritional benefits at all. They're not good for you. They do not hydrate you, and most of the time they're either full of sugars or they're full of sweeteners. So it's an absolute no from me on fizzy drinks. I'll have the odd Diet Coke now and again. The only fall for me is I drink sugar-free Red Bull when I'm on the road. So when I'm really tired, because I don't drink coffee or tea. I have one tea that I like that's got a thermogenic in it, but I'm only allowed one of those a day. So what I tend to do is have, and it's the odd sugar-free Red Bull. So water is your saving grace. You want to drink as much. Now, to start off with, you will be peeing a lot, but you just get used to it, and eventually your bladder will get used to you go in and hold on to it for longer. So for me, every day, you cannot forget your water. Number 6. Now this needs to be looked at with your GP, because there's a lot on there. I'm going to leave a link to a doctor below called Dr. Yamnadas, who I've been watching, who is absolutely superb. And I'm going to talk about intermittent fasting. Now, obviously, if you have certain medical conditions, this will need to be discussed with your GP. I don't know what your medical conditions are and whether you have any, but obviously before you start any sort of plan or lifestyle plan or diet, some people might call it, but remember what I said on, I think it was point 2, please look on it as a lifestyle change. So intermittent fasting is all about eating a certain time of day and then leaving a long stretch without food. So do you remember the big thing? Oh, it's really good to eat breakfast because it's breaking that fast. It was called breakfast because breaking the fast. However, I will tell you that actually at breakfast, if you're not hungry and you're forcing yourself to eat, it's not good for you. Now, if you have been told that you need to have your breakfast and you're under a dietitian or you're under any medical supervision by your doctors for your weight or for a medical condition, then obviously you need to stick to what they're saying. But for me, for intermittent fasting, this has really worked. So I tend to not eat till 11 or 12, but I've always been like that. And then I might eat till maybe 8 o'clock at night. So I'll have an 8-hour window where I will eat for. And then if I'm going out at the weekend or something like that, I might push it till 9 o'clock. But then I will go all night without food, without picking, and intermittent fasting. So this has made a great deal of difference on people's bodies. It has made a great deal of difference. There's a lot of doctors that have wrote about this at the moment. There's a lot of books that you can read on it as well. But obviously go and do your own research of how good this is going to be for your body. But intermittent fasting is something that I have definitely done and are definitely going to stick to. So intermittent fasting has proved that it can help with blood sugar, with your insulin levels. It can also help with longevity for us, but it can also support diet. Now, obviously, I can't promise you any of those. You've got to get on it to see how it goes, but make sure, as I always say, because I'm not medically trained and I can't see you, you need to go and see your GP to talk this through with them. Number 7. This is a biggie for me, and this really has, and I really should have known this with all the nutrition and stuff like that I've been studying and things, and that is stopping eating product. What's product? Product is something that's made through a factory. So I eat food, I don't eat a product. So everything that I look at, I mean, I've always been very healthy. I've done day in a life of what I've eaten. So I've always been healthy, but I've really kicked in the product. So things like what's made in a factory. Biscuits are made in a factory. Crisps are made in a factory. Microwavable meals are made in a factory. You know, anything, meal deals, cakes, all those kind of things. Anything that's had to be made in a factory, I don't go for. Bread, not good for you at all. Our body just doesn't know how to work the flour when it's in our body. So bread I will have very rarely. In fact, I think I was 4 months into this year before I touched any bread. yeah, for 2000, and it might have even been longer, for 2022. So Dr. Yamnadas, he's a cardiologist. He tells you all about it. Like I said, I will leave his link below for you to have a look at, but absolutely sensational, and has taught me a great deal about the body. So I will eat anything that will come off, I mean, sorry if you're vegan or vegetarian, but anything that comes off an animal, anything that comes out of the sea, anything that comes out of the ground, or anything that comes off a tree. So I eat food in its, not its raw form, because obviously I do cook if I'm making salmon and things like that, but I'll have salmon and salad, which you've seen me have before. I love hamburger with sweet cabbage, sweetheart cabbage, and maybe oranges, and or satsumas, strawberries, blueberries, cucumbers, tomatoes, and things like that. Drinking my water, copious amounts of water. So I'm eating really healthy, but not snacking on anything in between either, and obviously doing my intermittent fasting. So I also make sure that any chicken is grain fed and any cows are grass fed, and where I get my fish from is a really good fishmongers who knows where it's come from. So I'm very particular on that side as well, because obviously I know there's a lot of talks around the meat that you eat, that it's not good for us, very carcinogenic, but it obviously depends on where it's coming from. So I'm very particular on where I get my meat and fish from. Number 8. I've touched on it briefly just a moment ago, but one of the things that can really drop your weight quite quickly, if it works for you and if you have checked with your GP, I can't stress that enough, because if obviously I can't see, and I'm not medically trained to tell you whether you've got any medical conditions and whether you can go on it or not, you do need to check with your GP. I'm talking about keto. So keto is all about cutting out your carbs. Now this can be quite difficult, and it can give you headaches, it can make you feel a bit fluey when you first start it, but the benefits that you will reap from it are incredible. This has been proven to be one of the best ways of weight loss, and there's a great book that you can buy by Dr. Mosley. He's actually done a few things on television. I think it's for the BBC. His book that you can get off Amazon, I'll leave a link in the description below for you to have a look at, but absolutely superb. And he tells you, so anything carby, and it gives you a list of what you shouldn't be doing, what you should be doing, what you should be having, what meals you can cook. Now it can make you feel a bit tired, because you've got to get used to it, because our body is fueled, sadly, on too many of these carbohydrates that are in our diet, which we shouldn't really be on. But what Dr. Mosley does to start off with is he makes it very sparse on the carbohydrates, and then you start introducing them back into your diet. But you do this for 21 days, and he says that you can lose up to a stone in that 21 days. All I can tell you is, if you can, and you've got the go ahead from your doctors, then go and have a look at it, because it really is phenomenal. So keto, it tends to be my lifestyle now. I'm not saying that full on, because I'll still have things like parsnips and carrots. When you first start on it, you can't even do those. So I do introduce the natural foods that's got carbohydrates in. What I don't introduce is the unnatural foods, which is things like wraps, bread. Did you know that there was more sugar in wraps than there is in bread? So, you know, a lot of people think that they're taking breads to be a little bit healthier, and actually it's not. So I cut out, I'm keto, not all the time, but I try to stay on that level playing field. You feel fuller for longer, because you're having your protein in your body, and of course you're not spiking and you know, that glucose and that insulin levels aren't all over the place, because you're not doing too many of these unnatural carbohydrates that we've introduced to society. Number 9, cutting out sugar. Oh my gosh, this is a biggie. Now, I went for, I think it was 3 months without sugar. Yeah, and I'm talking not a drop. Not even. I had no sauces. I had nothing in tins. Again, no products, so you couldn't have had sugar in there. I was so careful with everything that I did in my diet, and I got used to it. People do months without sugar. I mean, I should have really vlogged on it, but I didn't, because obviously I was going through the very stressy time with different bits and pieces that were going on in my life. But I completely cut out sugar. Sugar is addictive. It's not good for the body. It breaks down collagen, so it actually ages you in the long term. If you have any of it earlier on in the day, then your body becomes addicted, so the more likely you are to have it. So if you have to have a sugar fix, make sure you do it later on in the day and not first thing in the morning. If you've got sugar in your tea and coffees, you need to break that down. You don't just completely cut it out, you just wean yourself off it and you will get used to it. But we have, as a society, far too much sugar, and sugar, as we've learned, is bad. It is bad for us. It is bad for our bodies, and it's in so much stuff. It's in way more than you can ever expect, because you've got the 52 different ways of them naming sugar on packets. The government are starting to do something about it at the moment, because it obviously is linked to obesity. It's linked to all different kinds of illnesses as well, but I need you to go and do your own research on that to have a look at it. But there's lots of different things that sugar is linked to, which is nasty, and you don't want it. So for me, cutting out sugar. Now obviously I have little bits now and again, and I've just had a spurt while I've been in America, in California, but generally now I tend to stay away from sugar. So last but by no means least, number 10. And this I'm going to join two together. And the first one is stop snacking. So that will come into you eating better. So get rid of all your snacks. If you need something to snack on, have a look in that Dr. Mosley's book. I often grab maybe some prawns or some salmon if I really am feeling desperate, or maybe a handful of almond nuts or something like that, or having a lower carbohydrate fruit. But I always go for the food, not the product, and I'm very careful of what I eat basically these days. So you snacking, because often quite a lot of us go for sugary snacks and things like that to give us a lift up, and that's where it comes on to number 2, 10B should I call it, and that is sleep. It's really imperative that you get your 8 hours a night. Now longevity of not sleeping well, so long term, has actually been proven to cause weight gain, because when we don't sleep well at night and we get up the next day, we're trying to fuel ourselves, we're trying to keep ourselves going, we're trying to get out of the tiredness. So we tend to go for food, but we don't go for broccoli and cauliflower, we go for fizzy drinks and a sugary snack. So it's not good for us. So what we're finding is that we're going for more calorific foods, more foods that are bad for us, more foods that will put on weight, because it spikes our blood sugar, it spikes us, so it makes us so we're not as tired. So if you get your sleep and you get into a good sleeping pattern, that should also help with the weight gain, because it's not going to, your body's not going to hold on, and you're also not going to be looking at snacking on those nasties. So if you get a good sleeping pattern, you're not going to be snacking on the nasties during the day, trying to keep yourself awake and trying to keep yourself going and trying to knock off that tiredness. So sleep is also imperative. So number 10, as I finish this, is sleep and snacking. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that helps you. I am going to try and do some more vlogs, like a day in the life. I'm also going to do something that I've done on intermittent fasting and fasting as well. I'm going to try and cover that, but I hope this helps. Obviously, leave your comments in the section below. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and I would love to have you part of this YouTube family, and that will be pressing that subscribe button, please. Thank you very much for watching once again. I hope it's been helpful, and I'll see you on the next vlog. Cheers.